Elena, I
Yes.
think Deborah has her hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Deborah, go ahead.
Okay. You were saying some things that it sounded like I heard from different places and people to fight off Alzheimer's.
Interesting.
Learning new routines, going a different way, home from work, learning a new language. So how does that tie into fighting off Alzheimer's? Right? Or do you know?
I don't know the answer to Alzheimer's. I don't know that, but it makes sense because all you're really doing is just keeping your brain working and agile. And just think for everybody here, myself included, how often is it just easier to not do something new? How often is it easier to just keep doing the same thing we're doing, right? Because it's just easier, and again, our brains are there to protect us and so on. But and again, I don't know anything about Alzheimer's by any means, but it just makes sense because all you're doing is you're training your brain to stay agile and sharp, right? And that's how you do it. It's like a gym for your brain essentially. And if you're not using, it's like same thing with muscles. If you're not using your muscles throughout your life, eventually, especially after a certain age, I think it's like after the age of 50, the muscles start to actually break down. And that's the most important piece of what helps us age and be mobile and be strong when we're older is the muscle, right? So it's preventive. So it makes sense, Deborah, that it's more of like preventive strategies to Alzheimer's, I would assume.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. I didn't know that, but it makes sense. Howard asks, how does the natural aging process impose unavoidable limitations on neuroplasticity? How can we compensate? Great question, Howard. So again, there's so much new research out there around what's the word? Not aging well. It's called like oh my gosh, there's a word for it. But there's if you guys are interested in that, there's a guy. His name is, and it slipped my mind. I'm completely blank now. It'll come back to me anyway. So there is different things that you can do to keep your brain healthy. So number one, of course, consult with your doctor. So even going to your doctor, and first things, again, not a doctor, so disclaimer, not a doctor, but there's specific things that we've discovered just in the side of human development, is that there's certain vitamins that help us maintain a healthy brain, certain vitamins that we get from the foods that we eat, again, going back to that physical health aspect, right? The exercises, all of those different things, Howard, help us age more, again, I forgot the word I'm looking for, but so age better, basically, right? So staying sharp until later. Of course, there's this thing called genetics, which is, to each his own. So you need to know your genetic history and work with your doctor and specialist to make sure that you are preventing certain things that are genetically inherent, so to say. So there's that piece. But for any regular person, if you don't have any genetically, if you don't have Alzheimer's in your family, if you don't have any of those sort of things, then just doing basic checkups, which we don't do as human beings, is going to your doctor and doing your vitamin checkups. How are your levels of different vitamins that are super essential for us? There is a way to check if your brain is healthy as well. So there's different ways to check that, but I cannot stress how much the 3 pieces of well-being, like Howard, as you're speaking, I was like, if there was a magic formula, it would be in those 3 pieces of well-being. Your physical health, because all of that, it's everything. Your physical health, and I'm not talking about you need to do CrossFit. I'm talking regular walks every day, movement throughout the day. Your emotional health, making sure you're not letting stress affect you in a negative way, right? Stress is all over us. Are you impacting it? Are you letting it impact? That's a big stressor on your brain, and it deteriorates your brain. And then the other one is the social, because we are social beings. So having love and friendships and family around is super important for us, especially as we age. So Howard, I would imagine that all of those things will slow down the aging process of the brain, and hopefully will maintain your brain sharp when it comes to neuroplasticity. But it really, that's a very medical thing that I would just recommend, talking to your doctor more about.